We are dead. We're back. We're dead and we're back. And this is the mental model you need to have for the next 4 years. Just strap in because we are starting to accelerate. Welcome back to Bitcoin
so over. We are so back. As Charlie said, that is the mental model for the next what are likely to be tumultuous 4 years.
This is an emergency mid-inauguration Bitcoin Season 2 Writers' Room stream. That is, we normally do this on Fridays. This is me and Colin, highly editorialized topics of the day, Bitcoin stuff. But right now, what is sucking all the air out of the room is Donald Trump and his inauguration. He launched a meme coin over the weekend. He made more money in the past weekend than he has his entire career to date. And the man is going to get off scot-free because apparently you can pardon your family members. But we're going to talk about, yes, some politically adjacent stuff. We're going to be as neutral as possible about some things except for crypto.
Charlie is being very charitable here. We are actually crypto fascists.
Yeah.
So now that Trump is back, now that Emperor Trump is back in office, this is going to be a political podcast where we do nothing but spew sycophantic pablum about the incoming emperor of the U.S., Donald Trump. No, but in all seriousness, back to Charlie's point about the meme coin, Trump once famously said he could shoot someone on the streets of New York and not go to jail. Now it seems that he can rug the entire U.S. and he also won't go to jail.
Which is actually worse, as we all know. I mean, it's wild right now. Again, we are recording this at 2 p.m. Eastern on Monday. Donald Trump just did his inauguration speech in D.C., and I think now he's rotating over to his like rally type thing that he's got at some place in D.C., and he's supposedly going to sign all these bills and stuff. 100 executive orders or something is supposedly what he's supposed to do.
Got a lot of stuff lined up for the first day, and we'll cover some of the stuff that he said he was gonna do for crypto and Bitcoin. A lot of that's already been hashed over, but this episode will basically look at some of the highlights from the inaugural speech in terms of what we believe to be kind of a cultural shift in the U.S., what that might mean for Bitcoin and crypto. Some of the stuff that Trump has promised over his presidency, we'll weave that in, right? And then we'll move on to this weekend's bread and circus, which was the Trump and Melania meme coins, which I'm still personally, I feel like I'm in a David Lynch movie. This feels like a dream. It does not feel real.
Let's wake you up with the Bitcoin Season 2 intro, which I guess we have to play or else the episode does officially start. So roll tape. Yeah, so where do we begin, Colin? I mean, where does this start? Do we start with the Balaji tweet? Do we start with...
I think we do the Balaji tweet towards the latter half. I really like the screen grab that you got of what appears to be almost a cabinet box because RFK's there. But for the sake of this, we'll be calling it the billionaire bull pit.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're listening to this, you're missing the most important picture of all time. I'm putting it up here on the screen. This is from the inauguration, the box where all the powerful people stand around and behind the new president, this President Trump. And we have here kind of almost like a Last Supper type of Renaissance art painting here, featuring $1 trillion of net worth on the stage among just a handful of people. We have Mark Zuckerberg, post glow up. We have Bezos' new wife, Beyonce, Bezos himself, who is whispering in the ear of Sundar Pichai, CEO of Google, and with his back to all of them, you have Elon Musk yammering about the next rocket. Probably,
you have Elon Musk talking about God knows what. Maybe it's his Diablo score. Maybe it's his Elden Ring speed run. Maybe it's colonizing Mars. But the shadow president is there just having a good time. He's living his best life right now. And really, this is an incredible tableau of some of the richest people in the world. I mean, literally the richest people in the world and some of the most powerful private actors in the world in the terms of working for the private sector. And a few things that I think is really interesting is just like Zuckerberg and Sundar. I mean, Zuckerberg is someone who I think that most people would not have expected to be here a few years ago.
Yeah.
You know, his interview with Joe Rogan recently has been making the rounds on social media. A lot of people have been hailing his pivot as, you know, kind of a sea change or representative of a sea change in the tech sector. I believe that's true. Also, people have been saying he's just playing to, excuse me, guys, hit my mic. He's just playing to, you know, the times, right? And he is kind of skating to where the puck is going. I also believe that's true. Like,
these are probably all true.
Yeah, I think both can be true at the same time. Like, I'm under no delusions that most billionaires do things ideologically. Some do, but most of them are just doing things that are going to benefit their businesses, right? Like, it's an incentives thing. Sundar is also interesting here because I feel like Google has been at the forefront of a lot of criticism about like woke agenda and all these other things, right? I mean, you can literally, you could go to Google during coronavirus or during other things that have happened in the last 4 years, and certain keywords wouldn't show up on predictive text because they were trying to hide that information or bury it. And so this is another really interesting, I think, example of the fact that we're undergoing a total cultural realignment right now.
Yeah. And you might, you know, I saw a good tweet just a moment ago, which is like, you know, around Trump's rallies, he's surrounded himself by working class people, every man, every woman, and first glance at the stage of who was around him during his inauguration was the most powerful people in the world who are not elected presidents. In fact, they are probably more powerful than most any kind of elected person in the world, besides the president of the United States. So you have them surrounding him. And this is, again, we're not going to stray too far from Bitcoin. We will get there. So don't turn it off yet. We'll get to the topic, to a very topically relevant thing. But this is what the new regime we're in, where what drives your bags, what drives the clock that ticks forward on your time chain is going to be most affected by these people. And that's why we got to talk about them.
100%. And to Charlie's point about the, you know, inauguration not including a lot of the people that Trump catered to during his run for presidency, Li Fong tweeted this out. Li Fong is an independent journalist, formerly of The Intercept. He also did a lot of work on the Twitter files when that came out in, I believe, early 2022, alongside some other journalists. And I think it's a good point to raise, but part of me thinks it's also a little superficial, just because it's like, I mean, it would have been easy, though. It would have been an easy PR win, but there's a reason why these people were there, because they control some of the largest industries in the world. But, you know, I think a good reminder that at the end of the day, Trump is still a politician, and he's going to say things that are going to get him votes and curry favor with people all throughout the country, right? So really, as to this presidency, as with the last one, is like, is he actually going to make good on some of these promises? And are these promises even good for the people that he's trying to help? Because at the end of the day, the kernel of whatever political realignment and cultural realignment we are feeling right now is the working class, and in a lot of ways lower and, you know, middle class, who felt like they've been completely left behind over the last few decades. And Trump kind of, it's almost like that Napoleon quote, right? Or it's like, I didn't place the crown on my head, I picked it up out of the gutter or whatever with my sword. It's kind of similar vibes with this, where Trump recognized that this was a demographic that was being completely ignored with a lot of the political discourse over the last few decades, or the last decade or two, and he catered to them. And I think you can also make the same comment about his promises to Bitcoin and crypto people, right? Bitcoiners in the crypto industry. It's like, no one took us seriously for years. Like, certain politicians and regulatory agencies were actively hostile, and Trump saw an easy win to be like, hey, we're going to stop fucking with you. And in fact, we're going to start championing you. perhaps a little bit too much, like with the
Yeah, and boy, did he ever champion us. He got right to the beating heart of what powers our godforsaken industry. We'll come to that in a little bit, but
scamming.
Scamming. That's like okay, just he's like curtain back. Here's the wizard, and it's Taproot Wizard. I'm just kidding.
We're editorializing. But to your point,
entirely.
to focus it back on the inauguration piece for a second, you made this point leading into this that he didn't touch on crypto or Bitcoin once. Obviously, I think that like that's a really important point that I think Bitcoiners and people who work in this industry maybe don't fail to recognize, but maybe are a little overzealous in thinking that like this is at the top of a lot of people's minds because we think about it and work in it every day. Like the average American doesn't care. The average American wants their gas to be cheap, they want their groceries to be affordable, and they want to buy a house. And they want their cities to be safe. Like that's roughly what got Trump into office, or promises to make all of those things better, right? Most Americans don't care about crypto or Bitcoin. So, like, obviously it didn't show up in the speech. Arguably the closest thing, though. Sorry, do you have anything to comment on that before I...
Oh, I no, keep going. We're finally getting to it. I think Mark Goodwin, if I can shout him out, I wish I had one of his tweets pulled up, but if you don't follow Mark, former editor of Bitcoin Magazine, now he's independent, but like he's been describing a view on the US's kind of realignment and Bitcoin in context of the dollar and stable coins, which I think is really, really useful. Now, I will have Mark on the pod here very soon. I will tease that. And I will say he tends to emphasize on conspiracy a lot. But the thing is, like, he's been very, very insightful and provides a very, very good perspective on like what Bitcoin looks like in context of being now enshrined by the powers that be who run the country. And now we have somewhat new powers that be, you might say. And we got to see a little bit of like a hint of this during the inauguration. We showed you the picture of our tech oligarchs, and then we got to see Trump do his talking points about some like energy policy and the pendulum swing back on certain cultural trajectories. So I see you got a Mark Goodwin tweet pulled up here.
Yeah, just take mental screenshots of the supposed toxic defenders of Bitcoin coping miserably hard for poppy warp speed. What he's saying here is Trump was the one who issued an executive order for Operation Warp Speed, which basically did away with a lot of trial trial mandates and testing mandates for the COVID-19 vaccines. And what Mark is kind of pointing out here, and I'll pull up one more of his too, is like, you know, I think he's frustrated with a lot of Bitcoiners who seem to have sacrificed some ideological points or things they were like kind of vociferous about during COVID, like, you know, mandates, vaccines, all this other stuff, and saying that like they're just kind of looking the other way with Trump now that he's pumping their bags. I have a few qualms with these takes. You know, I think that I appreciate Mark's ideological consistency. He's been extremely consistent through a lot of this stuff. But I think that the reason why people have aligned towards Trump in the Bitcoin and crypto camp can actually be tied back to those, like, you know, more quotidian and everyday concerns, right? And I think that like some people probably did single issue vote for him because of Bitcoin. I think that's kind of dumb personally. Like, I don't like, there are a few things that I would single issue vote on, but Bitcoin's not one of them unless like the other candidate was literally saying we're going to ban it, right?
Weirdly enough, like Ross Ulbricht is a pretty strong single issue because like a candidate who will promise Ross to free Ross and then does it on day one. He has not done it as of currently, as now that I'm aware of. But if he like does that, that's like huge. That signifies a very big vibe shift. And if you want like one thing accomplished, it would be this like the I don't want to I guess the poster child for like punitive overreach and abuse of the U.S. legal and surveillance system.
100%. Just a few more quotes from Mark, and then we'll move on to next topic from the inauguration. Trump said that he's going to issue an executive order that the federal government will only recognize two genders. And Rudy Havenstein, who, if you don't follow on Twitter, is an amazing account. Love Rudy. Rudy Havenstein was a Reichsbank president during the hyperinflation. And this is an Anon account that tweets about the Federal Reserve, politics, all this stuff. He said there are only two genders, Goldman Sachs and Citigroup, which is just so good. And then the other point kind of Mark made that's kind of, Ross adjacent. Julian Assange, obviously, arguably I don't want to compare two people's misfortunes, but arguably one of the most important journalists, and a lot of Bitcoiners would like to see him pardoned.
Yeah,
for his work with WikiLeaks.
Arguably, Julian Assange was earlier and played a bigger role in the early bootstrapping of Bitcoin. I think people forget
2011 with the donations that WikiLeaks took. Yeah, because they got deplatformed from PayPal, and then they turned to Bitcoin for donations.
Yeah, and so it was one of the only real stated reasons for Satoshi considering leaving. Now, Satoshi didn't say I'm leaving because of this, but it was you could see that in Satoshi's writing, that they were maybe looking to pull back because WikiLeaks put Bitcoin very much on the map, and you could say in the bullseye. Yeah. So that was very understated. But Julian is free now.
He is free, but he's not pardoned by the U.S. And as Mark is pointing out here, allegedly, I don't know the details on this. I'm actually kind of ignorant to what his administration did to try to, quote, kill Julian Assange in 2016, 2020 Trump administration. But Mark said, always thought it was weird how Assange graced a cover of Bitcoin magazine. And then the guy that tried to kill him got a keynote speech at Bitcoin 2024 and a handy less than a year later. Oh, well, much love. Pardon.
Well, you might say that the Bitcoin conference is for enemies.
Yeah, that's true. Also, sorry, I just want to share one last thing.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. This meme. So there's a photo going around of Mark Zuckerberg ogling Jeff Bezos's girlfriend or fiance's cleavage. And because she wore what appeared to be lingerie under a blazer. So anyway, but Mark Zuckerberg's looking at it, and Mark Goodwin's got this tweet. A global digital surveillance state. Mark Zuckerberg eyeing it. So anyway,
there's a lot of very iconic stills from the inauguration already. It's amazing. Let's maybe a couple more thoughts on the actual speech itself, Colin. I know you have a couple thoughts.
Yeah, I've got one, and because going back, the closest thing that was at all related to Bitcoin or crypto was his energy promises. He promised to issue an executive order the first day of his presidency to declare a national emergency to unlock new powers. I believe that what he meant by this, is this the right one? Anyway, I don't know if this is the right headline from Zero Hedge, but I remember during watching the speech, he basically made a promise to issue an emergency with regards to oil security, so that the U.S. would drill and become energy independent through untapped oil fields throughout the nation and things like that. Funnily enough, as you would expect, if he's saying let's increase production, oil futures actually trended downward. And I don't know if this is futures. This is the WTI. Yeah, these are crude oil futures for March 2025. They plummeted throughout the speech from $76.6 per barrel down to 76.18. It's not crazy change, but the reason I bring this up is because obviously you drill more oil, you frack more nat gas, you have more production of these things, especially with nat gas. Energy prices tend to track nat gas. If that goes down, then you're going to see energy potentially get cheaper throughout the US. This is good for the Bitcoin mining industry. And perhaps one of the things that really gained him favor with Bitcoin miners specifically, not just because he had these, ambivalent pro-Bitcoin stances that he's just saying, I'm not going to attack your industry, but also they see him as a energy first candidate and an American first candidate for energy. And so I feel like this is going to be one of those. This is the energy question is going to be a huge deal for the Bitcoin mining industry over this term. If he's actually good on these promises, cuts red tape, gets more production going, then you're going to see the American Bitcoin mining industry continue to flourish.
So speaking of domestic industries flourishing, here's the pivot. Trump was very clear last summer at Bitcoin conference, Nashville, when he said, "I want Bitcoin to be made in the USA." So we already kind of beat that horse to death. But interestingly, today, and I tried to find the tweet and the rationale just now to explain it, but I couldn't. CoinMarketCap just released a new dashboard, which is featured on the front page of the site, of a new category of tokens, which are the top made in America tokens by market capitalization. The description for this, it's been making the rounds. The description for this are listed below are the top crypto coins and tokens used for made in America. They are listed in size by market capitalization. So I don't know what this means, but I think the idea, we were trying to speculate this on this briefly before we went live, but this is a list of a bunch of cryptocurrencies which notably does not include Bitcoin, the only thing Trump said he wanted to be made in America. And Colin and I were trying to figure out the heuristic for CoinMarketCap putting this list together, and we think it's that a foundation which drives either the hegemony of these blockchains or the literal upgrade path or governance of these blockchains. One of that it is located in the United States.
Yeah, that appears to be the only thing gluing this list together to me is either the creator of the creator of the coin or the company that represents the coin.
Yeah.
For instance, XRP, which I just think is the
me.
fact that that's at the top of this list is such a piss in the face.
Yeah. So
honestly,
just to overview, this list includes XRP, Solana, Dogecoin, USDC, the only one which only makes sense, Cardano, Chainlink, Avalanche, Stellar, Sui, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, obviously the official Trump coin,
official Trump token,
Pudgy Penguins, Melania, Constitution DAO. If you remember when people tried to buy the Constitution last cycle,
dude, that's so funny. Some absolute ancient things here, like the 0x protocol, which I believe was a token for one of the first dexes on Ethereum.
Yeah, so the total market cap of all of these together is a little over $500 billion, $549 billion of all these cryptocurrencies. And I just do think that it's hilarious that Bitcoin Cash is on here and Bitcoin itself is not. Interesting observation. So that is I don't know. Where do you want to go? What on this topic?
I also just think the Made in America label for this is really funny when you think about proof of work specifically. Yeah, because it's unless unless 100% of the Bitcoins are actually mined in the US, you couldn't make the claim Made in America. And you could almost philosophically abstract this further and say that they're not technically made in America at all.
Yeah,
there's nothing actually being produced in America. I mean, it's on American
hardware.
USDC.
USDC is one of the only ones which objectively is made in America. It's a cryptocurrency. It's a contract on Ethereum primarily, but it's also on Tron. But it's the bank which issues these stablecoins is a U.S. bank, and it's the only it's the enshrined BlackRock stablecoin. So
ironically, to your point at the beginning, one of Trump's, it wasn't a promise, but one of his, exclamations, if you want to call it that, during the speech at Bitcoin 2024 was he wanted all Bitcoin to be made in America.
Yeah.
Which obviously got, ridicule ensued from some people in the Bitcoin and crypto spaces who were just that's impossible. But you saw a lot of headlines about it. There was a lot of media coverage about that which is kind of funny because it kind of exploits this gap in general understanding about how all this stuff works with, average people.
Yeah, and so I guess that can get us into let's just
the main spectacle.
into the fun thing. Do we want to go with the pardon, or do we want to talk more about meme coins?
Well, I think we should go into the meme coins, but then we should talk about the pardon during it, because it does raise. Because I think the biggest question. Well, let's just talk about. I'll talk about the question after we talk about the meme coin for people who don't know what happened over the weekend.
Yeah, if you were offline and a single notification got pushed to your phone, hopefully that communication was that Donald Trump launched a shitcoin, and because otherwise you need to refactor your entire source of signal. But Donald Trump launched official Trump coin, as I've shown here. Official Trump coin, ticker Trump, Friday night, while everyone was at the crypto ball. That was another topic we were talking about. While all of the people trying to buddy up close to the administration were at the crypto ball. And so we have here the chart of the official Trump coin since it got tagged by price trackers, and it ran up to $63 per token, or a total market cap of, I think, fully diluted market cap of something like $80 billion, making it the fully diluted market cap of something like the ninth or eighth largest cryptocurrency by market cap in a matter of 24 hours.
To be fair about the 80 million, that's including all outstanding supply, or all supply, but only what is it, the float's only 20% right now?
Yeah, because a single address, I believe, has 80% of the supply, and
God,
the website.
Damn, look at that volume, 39 billion over the last 24 hours. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude. It actually had there was a point where this token, which is issued on Solana, actually had more locked value on it than the entirety of all value locked on Ethereum, which was wild. This was an interesting stat. So then it just tells you how
hang on. That is an amazing stat.
Yeah,
because we covered this before. I think we talked about this on a writer's room a few weeks back towards the end. How Solana is just the bare naked version of grifting on Ethereum. It's not trying to be dressed up into anything revolutionary. It's just people who are launching shitters and meme coins on it. And it's the world's largest digital casino. And there's something poetic about the fact that Ethereum has been trying to market itself as this revolutionary platform to absolutely reshape digital finance. And the thing, and a single meme coin launched by the president of the United States ended up eclipsing the market cap of everything on Ethereum, or just Ethereum itself, in the span of 48 hours. It
was actually 24 hours that this all happened, and there were no VC threads. There was no endless pontificating about it. There were no Twitter Spaces. This happened and it went straight to market.
There was just straight, pure, raw, unadulterated aping into this meme coin. And it was really interesting that this dropped concurrent with Bitcoin Magazine's crypto ball in DC. I mean, these things are not related, but they were born together on the X timeline. They're
there was
twins.
Something. Donald Trump provided something for everybody. The wealthy people who get invited to suit and tie to go get drunk in Florida, or DC or wherever it was, probably super duper fun. But for the rest of us who weren't invited, he's you can still hang out with me. Here's my token.
Was the crypto ball an official Trump event? I thought it was just kind of like Bitcoin Magazine. And
it was a Bitcoin Magazine thing.
Yeah. But regardless, obviously it was hosted with the inauguration just a day or 2 days later, obviously with that in mind. But going back to the Trump coin launch, I couldn't believe it at first. I thought it was just someone launching a Trump token, right? Like, it's like, well, that makes sense. Like, someone's just going to launch a Trump token, much like the Dolan, Trimp, and Geo Bowden meme coins from last year. It's like, this makes total sense.
Is the president who launched 1,000 tokens, but this one was the real one, and he freaking retweeted it. He posted
it from his official account.
So first of all, he posted it to Truth Social. So he posted it. So Alpha Collar.
No. All the MAGA sycophants got the alpha first.
Bro, crypto Twitter has been in shambles because we need to be on Crypto Truth Social. CT has a new name. BT, it's out. It's BTS, which is Bitcoin Truth Social. That is where all your alpha lies.
There's something really funny thinking about like a trader or like a shitcoin trading firm with like $100 million in like dry powder getting blown the fuck out by some grandmother in like Oklahoma with $1,000 on Coinbase.
Well, it's like that meme. Oh god, I have to show you the meme, which is I mean, it's this meme, which is it's the boomer meme coming up behind his son, weeping at the computer. He says, "How are your shitcoins doing, son? Looks like you should have bought a real coin." Like,
honestly, though, I mean, that's what's so funny about all of this is that it was such a sneaker wave of an event. Like something that was totally, I mean, insiders would have known about it, but totally came by surprise, I think, for a lot of people, because I think it's so brazen, right? Like, we just got done with, and this is when we get into kind of the legality part of it.
Yeah.
And we'll kind of just skip over the fact that, well, we'll mention it. Then, like, Melania issued hers, and then Trump token dumped like 50%. And all the money cycled into Melania. But so, like, you have both the president of the United States and the first lady with their own shitcoins. And we just got done with, call it 8 years, honestly, since the ICO boom, of Gary Gensler's SEC absolutely reaming certain companies for issuing illegal securities, quote unquote, in the US. And now the president elect at the time, now president, just fucking apes into his own coin, just issues it.
Yeah, officially shills multiple times from his primary accounts leading into the inauguration an absolute shitcoin that he owns 80% of.
Yeah. Which is wild. And so I just honestly, I can't believe that this happened. I mean, I'm like kind of still in shock. I feel like, again, I'm watching some absurd fever dream, unravel.
It's a David Lynch movie, and
it is a David Lynch movie. Shout out to the GOAT. It does feel like a dream sequence from Twin Peaks or something. And I do think that, this was absolutely unhinged and retarded. Like this, I do not.
You don't have to like. I think if you're a listener and you don't know that, like, I don't think Colin and I have to like condemn this too much. We are in the business of like as impartial as we can, commentating and providing different perspectives on it. Like, of course, we don't think it's great to launch a shitcoin and and shovel it into the mouths of boomers and degens. Like, this is so dumb. It's bad. We're not here to like circle up and kick this topic to death, because that's what all the other dumb podcasts do. They just don't know how to add other color or perspective to it. We've been around the block a few times.
Yeah, and I think that it's just such a, absolutely naked money grab. And the incentives are there though, right? Like, this man is virality, like, embodied. Yeah, personified. That exactly. He is virality personified. He's the epitome of a marketer. Like, and he is one of the most, viewed and queried people in the world, if not the most at this point. And so he's taking the incentives. But Politico's got this article up with the headline, "Horrible Look crypto lobby reels from Trump's meme coin. I'm going to share it here. And that's the headline: horrible look, crypto lobby reels from Trump's meme coin. I think honestly, Nick Carter has the best take here, or at least I didn't read all the other takes, but kind of that aligns with my own.
Absolutely preposterous that you would do this.
Said Nick Carter, founding partner at the crypto investment firm Castle Island Ventures, who described himself as an avowed and explicit Trump supporter. They're plumbing new depths of idiocy with this meme coin launch. I think that's absolutely right. I think that's the thing that really has me lost in all of this, is this seems almost too far even for him. Like, I'm not going to wax poetic about the sanctity of the office of the U.S. or that a president should have more decorum than this, even if part of me believes that. Like, I think that's one thing about Trump's presidency, is that he is kind of a blunderbuss blow to that entire facade, because presidents act respectable on camera, but they're some of the most degenerate people in U.S. history and have done horrendous things. And I'm not even going to say it about that, but I just think that there's something, maybe that is what I'm saying, actually. There's something so beyond the pale for this, even for this man. And I think it goes to show, too, that just when you think the depths, just when you think you've reached the depths of degeneracy and absolute Looney Tunes bullshit of this president and his, kind of quest for perpetual and perennial fame, there's something new that he does. You never, it's a mystery box with this man. You really don't know what you're going to get on a given week.
And I think people who think that Trump's, he watched 1,000 hours of Bitcoin podcasts and he did his due diligence of listening to Michael Saylor explain an unending, meaningless aphorism, that he's going to come in and he's going to jump in and be he's going to be retweeting Jimmy's song about the moral nature of Bitcoin and all that bullshit. The thing is, Trump is just kind of just rolling dice here. He's a lot of this is just very arbitrary, and he's a vibes guy. And the thing is, this is a man who has sold Trump steaks and sold gold-plated shoes and has sold multiple NFTs. We did a writer's room on the ordinals he inscribed back in the day, which, by the way, have pumped. So the thing is, this is very surprising and absolutely ridiculous. However, you're naive if you think that this could never have happened, because this is the guy. It just demonstrates, you listener, you put this guy in the office. I would prefer Trump over Biden from my own industry's perspective. However, this is not a guy who has he is kind of like a bull in a china shop, and if we're lucky, we can put some bumpers on him and have him run in the direction of a productive policy for our industry. But this is not somebody who is on our side. He's just somebody we can whip in a specific direction, and he's gonna knock shit over on his way in that direction, hopefully. I mean, at the very least, it looks like he doesn't want war in Palestine. That's great. But as far as crypto policy, it's going to be pretty incoherent. And I think we're just going to see a new weird kind of power struggle emerge. As we said at the top of the episode, you have these tech oligarchs, and they desire power and money and influence. And at least they're forefront about them being solo decision makers in this new regime. In contrast to the previous regime, which spent 4 years denying Joe Biden's senile behavior, at least it's a little more. It seems like we know who the actors and influencers are, but they are not pro Bitcoin people. They are going to like some things in Bitcoin, and if you do not, and we need to understand that the sycophancy is very, very dangerous, because it will blind you to the
potential real dangers. And I think this is the problem with partisan politics, is that you're more likely to forgive the ills of your side because the other side's ills are more extreme in your eyes, right? And just because Trump is doing things that are potentially better or rewriting ills from the left. Doesn't mean that there aren't own dangers with his own policy, right? Obviously, to your point, Charlie, a lot of the people in his administration are just currying or a lot of people like in that billionaire bullpit, right, are just currying favor with him because they now see the shifting tides of the political and cultural, influences, right? And I think that the biggest fear that could be legitimate within the next 4 years and maybe beyond, depending on how far the tides shift, is like we obviously don't want government overreach, a la like George Orwell's 1984. This kind of dystopian overreach from the government where you don't have any privacy, you don't have freedom of speech, all these other things. But like we also don't want a scenario in which the private sector runs completely amok and has no guardrails, and then you get like a Rapture BioShock scenario. And I think that there are legitimate criticisms on both sides, right? Like at the end of the day, I'm a good Bitcoiner. I believe capitalism is great for human flourishing, but you can also see a litany of abuses from large corporations throughout American and world history, where like there do need to be incentives and guardrails in place to make sure that they don't act on those abuses. One more thing on the Trump meme coin before we like totally stop talking about it.
Yeah.
I wanted to share this.
No, we still have a couple more. We have still have a couple more hits on it, but yes, show this one.
You might already have this pulled up, but
no, I see you pulling it up. If you're if you're listening to this, you come to this timestamp. It's about 42 minutes in on the on our pod, and this is the most amazing image.
So you dropped this in the team Slack yesterday, and this tweet says, and I quote, "Nah, it looks like Trump's side profile. We on God live in a sim," end quote. So this is a photo of the chart for Trump coin. And if you look at the chart and flip it for a vertical image on its side, it literally looks like one of the caricature profiles of Trump. Like it's got the hair jutting out. It's got his like brow, his nose and his lips and chin. This is art imitating life, honestly. Like this is, but it's even more than that because it is the market constructing the art through order flows and buys and sells. And
Wintermute is trying to tell us something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about this other than this is kind of an incredible coincidence, or is it? Just a funny thing that coincided.
Yeah, I'll show you. I mean, I love to bring up if you're any old school political cartoon fans of Doonesbury, the progressive dad comic from the 80s had a nice arc in the 80s where a character in this comic series who was Trump ran for president, and the exact side profile, and I am just pulling this up from memory, from scratch, live here on the air, of the cover of one of the books. I have this book on my dining room table. Same picture, same profile. That is the Trump iconic profile.
Uncanny, honestly. Like absolutely uncanny.
But so Colin, obviously Trump is committing what would have been a crime under the previous administration, but Gary Gensler is out. Also, apparently now you can just do whatever the fuck you want and pre-pardon in advance whatever progeny you want. This is the other topic we had on our list today, which is so Joe Biden, with, quote, minutes left in his presidency, Biden issues a full and unconditional pardon of his family, most notably his brother, and full and unconstitutional pardon. And the thing is, like, a lot of these are like pardons in advance for things.
Yeah, these people have not been accused of anything, nor have they been convicted. And I think that's your point, Charlie, for bringing this up. Like, that's what's fucking wild about this. Preliminary pardons, getting ahead of anything that might happen. He did the same thing with Fauci and a few other people right before he left. This is a really crazy precedent. And I don't know if he's the first president to do this.
Yeah, shout out in the chat. Let us know, like, dude, because I haven't seen anything about this. But like, okay, if we're gonna just pardon royal families now, like, okay, then Melania isn't gonna be the last one to launch a meme coin. Trump has a lot of progeny. Trump has a lot of kids. They all have a lot of kids. Like, we're talking, 40 plus meme coins that can be launched from the new royal ascendant royal family of the United States. And they're, not only is Trump going to appointing the new SEC chair and the new CFTC chairs and the people who are in the business of like enforcing this type of like a healthy quote regulatory policy in the US. Like, he can just be like, well, my family's fine. It's crazy.
So for what it's worth, I just gave a question to the old Chat GPT about preliminary pardons, and the one example that it spit out was Gerald Ford's pardon of Richard Nixon. Now, probably should have known that. Interesting thing about that, though, is not excusing it, but that's for like a former president and like a high, caliber person. These pardons that Biden has done for a number of people are, like you said, Charlie, there's nepotism involved. It's his family. It's also other government officials. This sets a really damaging precedent, I think. And, obviously Ford set the precedent.
You're starting to sound like one of these like institutional Democrats talking about when Trump came in and shook things up in 2016. Oh no, the precedent. I'm giving you a hard time though.
No, right. Yeah, I know. That's fair. I appreciate the ribbing. But like Trump's going to almost certainly do the same thing before his next presidency is out.
Trump
right?
he can triple the names on that list easy, just family members.
Yeah, I mean, like this kind of gives them in the context of what we're talking about with crypto, this gives his family and his friends carte blanche to just shitcoin and launch, what the SEC would otherwise view as securities potentially. And yeah, there's just something really unfortunate and unserious about that. Obviously, I'm not saying that like that's their aim, but like the fact that like they can just do that after they launched a shitcoin and just pardon themselves,
you can just
pardon everyone involved with the launch is really sad in a way. That's just kind of disgusting. And the other thing I would say too about this is maybe there's an element where Trump's like, well, I'm going to the next SEC chair is my pick. He's not going to prosecute. Why would he prosecute? There's nothing to prosecute. We're fine. Like maybe there's an element of that there with this, but clearly he felt safe enough to do this. And it's funny that it came right before the timing was perfect. It's during a lame duck. It's right before the inauguration. And he clearly is doing it, but for both himself and Melania and maybe Barron eventually, without any fear of repercussion.
Barron, if he's not the executor of these meme coins, he certainly will be. He's like the Gen Z harbinger. Come to like
he's the crypto whisperer for his dad.
Exactly. And I mean, shoot, what was I forgot my train of thought, but yeah, I mean, the one thing I was going to point out was like, the only actual real coherent thing that I heard was why did Trump launch a meme coin is because like we have codified in our rules and laws that a Trump is not allowed, or a president is not allowed to use the position to enrich themselves. So had
to do it beforehand.
Yeah. So like if you were to launch a meme coin, like just do it beforehand. And and that, I mean, because that theory makes total sense. I'd be like, actually, yeah, of course you're gonna do it. If you're like reviewing your big checklist of things that I gotta stop doing this. I gotta stop calling Putin on the weekends, like for fun, once I'm president, because I can't do that anymore. He's like, oh shoot, I gotta like launch my meme coin. He's like, oh fuck. And he goes to pump.fun. He's like, okay, Barron, can you like line up the deals for me? I'm gonna go do inauguration stuff. And that's probably what happened.
I'm just glad that his priorities are in order and that he's doing this now. God bless God bless Emperor Trump for launching the meme coin beforehand and not saturating his bags with poor suckers' money before or during his presidency. There's a part of me that's like, maybe you should have done this and like put all the money into like, some sort of disaster fund for the government or convert it to Bitcoin and use it as like a rainy day. I mean, it's pennies, right? They can obviously print as much money as they want. But, maybe a good closing question for this, Charlie, just to tie it back to some of his other crypto policy planks, if we can even call it that, because he's had a few things that he said, but he's been
he hasn't forward an actual policy. It's kind of like, so we're going to let you Bitcoin and crypto or whatever. That's his policy. This is
right.
Whatever.
And so does this undermine either his attempts to do, or does this undermine his attempt to drive forth favorable legislation and regulation for the crypto industry, or our faith that he will actually do that? Because I think for a lot of Bitcoiners, this is almost like this is a cardinal sin for a lot of them, right? Like
I would say like that is a good question to ask, but I think the people who are going to be knocked off course because of this specific meme coin are probably not very effective in these nuanced high-level situations in the first place. And I don't want to be too condemning, but if you weren't ready for this, like you're probably kind of naive and you probably shouldn't be trying to deal with Trump. If you can roll with this kind of crazy shenanigans, and you're able to navigate this, then I think this is actually, in a way, an inverse purity test. If you are able to navigate through this and be like, this is the person we're dealing with, we have to have a real politic approach to Bitcoin legislation and Bitcoin forward stance. Like, this is going to weed out people who are probably not going to be productive to have in the conversation. Maybe
you're talking about from his cabinet in regards to crypto.
I'm talking about Bitcoin Puritans who are unable to imagine that there's 800 billion minus 50 million people out there who do not give a shit about your weird Bitcoin stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if you cannot have this larger worldview, then you're probably not going to be very effective in the coming 4 years to like taking Bitcoin from a weird, like niche savings technology to like the global monetary system. I just don't think those people who have let themselves be sucked into this really narrow, like cult-like view of Bitcoin, I don't think they're going to be able to be very effective going forwards. So I just hope that that's going to be in a positive direction. So this is one of the things we can't guarantee, is that, maybe Bitcoin does go to 1 million. I'm certain it will. Maybe Bitcoin does get embraced and enshrined in the US. Is that good? I'm agnostic for the time being. We'll see.
That's an interesting angle to take with it with regards to like outside of the administration, because I'm also thinking about what it means for his advisor roles for whatever agencies. Like he's promised to basically establish this like crypto advisory agency for regulation. If I recall correctly, David Sachs, he's tapped as a crypto czar for that. David Sachs is an entrepreneur and investor, part of the All In crew with like Chamath and Jason Kalanakis. I don't know. I don't know his last name. Anyway, and he's also tapped Bo Hines, a North Carolina congressional candidate, as the presidential counsel as the director of the Presidential Council of Advisor for Digital Assets. So I'd be curious to see. I don't think this would have any impact on that, but like it does kind of raise the question, like how lenient will they be with, meme coins or ICOs or launching crypto tokens, maybe for equity, as Balaji has, kind of pontificated over Twitter or various other things. Like, are we about to see an absolute boom in degeneracy on these blockchains within the US and trading them more than we've already seen? Like, how lenient will this crypto advisory agency be with regards to regulating some of this stuff? And outside of that, I think that's like kind of like the primary question with him launching this, or like, what does it mean for going forward for the next 4 years? I don't think it impacts his other two big Bitcoin adjacent or Bitcoin specific promises, like the strategic Bitcoin reserve or pardoning Ross Ulbricht. I feel like those were like two big promises he made during his keynote speech. And if you're curious about the viability of the Bitcoin strategic Bitcoin reserve at the federal level, go check out last week's newsletter. We did a run through of all of the states that have proposed Bitcoin strategic reserves as of that newsletter posting. We also did an outro, or the conclusion was looking at the federal level and how likely that will be. But yeah, anyway, I think that about covers it for that. Do you have any final thoughts on the meme coin?
I guess the final thoughts is, we will see if the executive order on the SBR, the National Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, does come to fruition. By the time this episode goes out on RSS feeds, we may have an answer to that. So who knows? Colin and I have written on this. We've been we're on the under. We're both guessing that it's not really going to happen as a lot of people expect. But
the very least, it'll happen maybe with him just saying, don't sell the stockpile that we currently hold. That can easily be undone.
Yeah. So we'll see about that. As far as meme coins go, I feel like we did kick the horse completely dead on meme coins. Although, are you seeing this? I'm seeing this interesting tweets coming out.
Holy shit. Charlie, I think another member of the Trump family just launched a meme coin.
I think it is. Yeah. The Trump one who